Howdy folks, Jambareeqi here and welcome to another episode of Jambareeqi Cinema, the podcast series where I review movies that have arrived in UK theatres. In this episode, I'll be discussing Smallfoot, the new movie from Warner Animation. On top of a mountain, a community of Yetis live in harmony, all bound to the rules of the stones, which are preached by their leader, the Stonekeeper. We centre on Migo, the son of the official Gong Yeti, who is eager to inherit his father's career. One day though, Migo discovers a human on the mountain, a race the Yetis don't believe in, and call a legend under the name of Smallfoot. After meeting a human, Migo's whole perception of the stones is twisted upside down, but none of the Yetis believe him, and the Stonekeeper banishes him for challenging the stones. Migo wants to find a Smallfoot again, so he could be welcomed back into his home, and luckily a society of free-thinking Yetis, surprisingly led by the Stonekeeper's own daughter Michi, want to help him. Lo and behold, Migo discovers a Smallfoot called Percy, and he takes the human back to his Yeti tribe as evidence. When I first saw the trailers for this film, I wasn't impressed. It seemed like a generic animated comedy with the one simple joke of what if humans were a legend to Yetis, and while that is what it is on the surface, there's more to it than the trailers lead on. At its core are messages that are good for audiences to learn, including the importance of curiosity, why we should question things we don't understand, how we shouldn't let fear repress us from the truth, and finding a bridge of peace between humans and the unknown. It's just, the film doesn't exactly tackle these complex themes with nuance. Sure, I love that the film is addressing values that are great for kids to learn, but the story's pacing undermines its well-meaning intentions. The movie is very fast, so it's always moving, talking, or desperately grabbing for laughs. Because of this frantic, hyperactive rhythm, the film doesn't give us enough time to think about the lessons it's teaching us. And when it does want to get across a message, it's very heavy-handed about what it wants to say, spelling it all out for the children watching, instead of respecting kids enough to let them work out what's being communicated for themselves. Again, I love the things that the movie wants to say, I really do. It just could have been more subtle and calmer about its execution. I did enjoy watching the Yetis and Percy communicating though. While the audience can hear both races speaking fluent English, Yetis hear human language as squeaky gibberish, and Percy thinks that the Yetis can only roar or growl. This limitation means that the filmmakers have to be clever about how Yetis and humans share cultures, which can make for some clever animation and inventive forms of communication. The characters, for the most part, are pretty unmemorable. It is kind of interesting watching Percy develop from being a wildlife documentarian desperate for ratings to the animal lover he once used to be, but everyone else in the film is the very definition of generic. Every Yeti is a stock cutout, whether they're the rebellious teenage chief's daughter, the outcast who wants to follow tradition to fit in but learns to be himself, or just a sideline comic relief who keeps throwing one-liners. I'm not going to remember any of these creatures, I've already forgot them. Surprisingly too, even though the trailers don't indicate this, Smallfoot is a musical. It is alarming whenever the Yetis break into song and dance, because it's rare and most numbers come out of nowhere. Many of the songs sound the same to me as they blend into each other due to their lack of unique personality or musical identity, and Percy sings a painfully bad version of Queen and David Bowie's Under Pressure with new awkward lyrics. But the Stonekeeper, who is voiced by rapper Common, has a pretty sick rap about Yeti history, as silly as that sounds. It has an awesome ominous beat, and Common performs the lyrics with a lot of conviction, so much so that I'm now interested in hearing Common's own songs. The animation is very detailed and pretty, as there's beauty in the mountainscapes and some organic palpability to the Yeti's fur. Not to mention, the Yetis themselves each have colourful original designs that help set them apart visually, and show that Yetis don't all have to look the same. To conclude, Smallfoot doesn't exactly break new grounds, making it rather generic and predictable on the whole. If you've seen Happy Feet and Hotel Transylvania, expect the exact same stuff here. Plus its heartfelt messages of peace and understanding may be themes I think audiences should totally learn. They're either told too fast or come off as preachy. Very young children will enjoy the goofy slapstick, colourful animation, overall cuteness, but these aren't things that make the movie stand out from other kids' films. and I wish that the film didn't pander or preach to kids. They deserve better than that. And there's very little here for parents or older siblings that are being dragged along to see the film with them. If you want to see an animated film with small ambitions and a big warm heart, then maybe this one is for you. It's like a more wholesome and innocent version of Sausage Party. I personally think that it could have been better paced, a little more inspired, and less heavy-handed, but I enjoyed it more than I thought I would based on the trailers. I'm going to give it a rating of 3 strawberries out of 5. I've been Jambareeqi and I hope you enjoyed this review. If you did, then feel free to subscribe to my channel. Cheerio, folks!